Welcome to Sports Bytes. Welcome to Sports Bytes with your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home, get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bytes. Let's dig in.
Welcome back, everybody. It is your host, Chris Joseph, and it is Big Ten Bites time. That's right. We had hurtling towards the weekend and a full slate of college football. I appreciate you joining in if you want to hear about Big Ten play, what happened last week, what's coming up the next week. And at the end of the show, I'm going to give my power rankings for the Big Ten. So a lot of stuff to get into. First off, if you're listening to anywhere where you're getting your podcast at, please subscribe, please follow, please share, comment on socials. You can see all the socials down here if you're watching on YouTube. Follow on Twitter at SportsBytesPod1, the number 1. Follow on TikTok. I put a lot of content out on TikTok. Sports Bytes Pod. Subscribe to YouTube. It doesn't cost you anything yet, because I'm close to getting to start having some content that I'm only going to put out on Patreon and stuff like that. So subscribe now at Sports Bytes Podcast on YouTube and follow on Instagram, Sports Bytes Podcast. I hope you're having a great night. It is Thursday when I'm recording this, so we got some football stuff going on. Buffalo killing Miami. And I'll tell you, a game that's been very entertaining, I thought it would be, was the Texas State, Arizona State game. That game right now, as we're talking, let me see if I can pull that up for you real quick. It is in the third quarter, and Texas State and Arizona State are tied at 21. But this is the Big Ten show, Big Ten Bites. Like I said, for those who follow Sports Bites know I do a live show on Monday and Friday. Now, with this show, it's going to be a 30-minute quick hitter to talk about the Big Ten games from last week, if there's any news, Big Ten games this week, and my power rankings. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. With the football games from last weekend, started on Friday. Western Illinois, Indiana hammered them, right? They should be. Everyone's really pumped in Indiana right now. I don't know. I'm not buying them yet. Now, they put up 77 points. Scored 28, 14, 14, and 21. That's a lot of points. I still don't know, because Indiana, all they've played is FIU and Western Illinois. They got UCLA coming up next. We'll talk about that. That's a very interesting game for the Hoosiers. Duke and Northwestern, we talked about that ACC time. Malik Murphy stepped up and made some plays. Duke wins that game in double overtime, 26-20. Northwestern don't have a stadium, really don't have a team. Malik Murphy, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception on the day for the guy that I call create a player, because if you look at him, he's a freaking, looks like you made him on Madden. Big, strong, fast, chiseled up dude. Good for him. Now, a team that everybody has saying they're going to win the national championship this year, and that it kind of has to. Ryan Day and his Ohio State Buckeyes, they took on the Broncos of Western Michigan at the Horseshoe, and Will Howard had a better day, 292 yards, 1 touchdown. The freshman phenom receiver, Jeremiah Smith, he had himself a ball game as well. Caught his first touchdown, 5 receptions, 119 yards, 1 touchdown, and that's not first touchdown. He had 1 touchdown in the game, a 70-yard TD reception. So he's between him and Ryan Williams at Alabama. Those two, there's some really good freshman receivers, and they might be in contention for the Biletnikoff Award. I'm still not sold on Will Howard. I'm not. Quinshon Judkins, 9 carries, 108 yards. I think he's a phenomenal running back. Smith, excellent wide receiver. I'm just not sold on Will Howard. We'll see as that moves on. Another team, Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, again, didn't have a bad day. Per se. But Oregon, again, struggled. They beat Boise State 37-34. Gabriel was 18 to 21. So, I mean, completion-wise, having a high percentage, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns for DG. Jordan James ran for 102 yards. I think, the big turning point, obviously, in that play was the Noah Whittington's touchdown return, big kick return. So, and you had Tez Johnson return a punt. So, I mean, special teams really played a role in that. And I'll tell you, the other guy, Ashton Genty, that dude's already got 9 touchdowns in 2 games. He's going to be he's legit. All right. People can't say, well, no. Boise State's legit. They have a chance to be the best team in the group of 5. We'll see at the end of the year. They might get a rematch. But Genty had 25 carries, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had over 200 yards and 6 touchdowns the week before. So you knew he was going to get the ball. Dan Lanning is a defensive-minded coach and still couldn't stop him. Penn State almost proved everybody right. Franklin and all those guys. I mean, Drew, I'm not sold on Penn State. They struggled. We're actually trailing Bowling Green at one point. They win 34-27. And Drew Aller just doesn't blow my hair back, right? 13 of 20, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, they had 2 backs with over 100 yards, and that's what you kind of expect from Penn State football. Nicholas Singleton had 119, and Katron Allen had 101. Now, Tyler Warren at receiver, 8 catches, 146 yards. I still don't see explosiveness from the offense. I don't. Now, they put up 34 points. They're tight end. Warren, he's the one that just dominated. Just not real explosive. USC, probably right now, the way they're playing, pretty damn good. Their first shutout since the 2011 season. Miller Moss, 229 yards, 1 touchdown. For the men of Troy, they knock off Utah State 48-0. Woody Marks, 13 carries, 103 yards, 1 touchdown. But the big thing, and you can say what you want with the defense that was that bad, for them to come out and pitch a shutout. And it's the first one since 2011. That's a big deal for USC football, and they keep doing well on the recruiting trail. So we'll see how that kind of propels them moving forward. Probably the biggest win in the Big Ten all weekend, the Illini, Luke Altmaier. I didn't buy him. I didn't buy into him, right? I talked about it a little bit during the Big 12 Bites episode. I didn't buy into Luke Altmaier. I thought Kansas would go in there and roll. They did not. Luke Altmaier did what he needed to do, made plays when they needed to be made. Illinois won 23-17, knocking off what some people have as the favorite to win the Big 12, right? And they can still win the Big 12. Let's not kid ourselves. They can still win the Big 12. They're doing exceptionally well, and they got, a lot of big games left for Kansas. Iowa State and Iowa, and again, I'm not a big Iowa backer, man. I've talked about it before, almost ad nauseum, that everyone talks about how good this defense is. You played 3 ranked teams last year and got beat by 95-0, a combined score. Now in this game, Rocco Beck, the guy that, he's solid, but he's not Brock Purdy. 272 yards passing. In the game, Iowa State outgained him 361-303. Again, not great offense. Cade McNamara is not that guy. He just isn't. Iowa loses on a walk-off field goal. The Cy-Hawk Trophy goes back to Ames, so congratulations to them. Minnesota, they're playing Rhode Island, kind of a tune-up there. Rhode Island, really no contest. Minnesota wins 48-0. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 49-17 over Akron, and they're playing some good football at Rutgers right now. And if you look at their schedule, they've got Virginia Tech. It's a winnable game. Washington, we don't know what we have. Nebraska's going to be tough. Wisconsin, I don't think is that good. UCLA is not that good. USC is going to be a loss. I think USC is a better team. They could beat Minnesota. They could beat Maryland. I don't know about Illinois now. We'll see where Luke Altmaier and the Illini are at that point, and Michigan State. So Rutgers has a chance to go bowling this year. So kudos to them. Michigan State, Sparty. Are they better than Michigan this year? Michigan State wins 27-24. Eastern Michigan, my man Dan Helmer, the play-by-play voice for Eastern Michigan, they head up to Washington. They lost to the Huskies 30-9. Will Rogers, 261 yards and 4 touchdowns on the day. Wisconsin struggled with South Dakota, the lesser known of the Dakota football teams. Van Dyke just doesn't look like he is going to be able to take Wisconsin to that next level, and I feel bad for Luke Fickell. I actually like Luke Fickell. I think he's a good coach. It's just going to be really hard for him moving forward. Sorry. I always get text when I'm on the air. But talking about Nebraska and Colorado, Dylan Raiola, maybe he's that guy. Maybe he's that guy. And if you saw Will Compton's pregame speech, man, he got me fired up to root for Nebraska. But Dylan Raiola, 23-30, 185 yards, 1 touchdown. And that was it was a lucky play. Should have been an interception in and out of the hands of the Colorado player, and it goes to the Nebraska receiver for a touchdown for Ramir Johnson. But he made some plays. Travis Hunter, again, 10 catches, 110 yards, no touchdowns. Shedeur Sanders, 23 of 38, 244. We talked about that during the Big 12 Bites. Not a fan of him leaving the field. If you're going to talk the talk, you got to be able to sit there and take it when it's thrown back at you. Plain and simple. But the biggest game in the Big Ten was at the Big House. Michigan welcoming the Texas Longhorns, and it wasn't even a game. Michigan's got some problems. I mean, it's a great story, Davis Warren, but Alex Orji, not that good. Donovan Edwards, 8 carries, 41 yards. Dennis Warren, 22 of 33, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, but 2 interceptions. Quinn Ewers looks really good. The play where he's rolling out, I think Joe Clapp mentioned it during the broadcast, when he's rolling out and snaps his body to where he can get, he's improved. There were some times last year that I was questioning his footwork. From what I've seen, especially in that game, improved. The offensive line absolutely contained Graham and all this great Michigan defense. Texas could do whatever they wanted to do, right? Could do what they ever wanted to do. Outgained Michigan 389 to 284. Michigan was 3 of 12 on third downs for the game. Texas came in there and took their lunch money. Now, a lot of stuff going on. I don't know. Sharon Moore wasn't calling plays like he had been calling plays. It's not a good look for Michigan right now. Take a quick time out. We'll be back. We're going to look at the other games. A brief message from one of our sponsors, Olipop. And, of course, it didn't play. All right, so we'll come back. Sorry about that, guys. It didn't play. Goodness gracious. I loaded up, and it did not play. But that's live when you're doing live work, right? That's how it's always going to happen. Let's look ahead to the games this week in the Big Ten. Arkansas State comes into Michigan. Michigan is favored by 23, a total of 47.5. Man, I'd like to think Michigan can win by that much. I just don't know if they have the offense right now. I'll be intrigued to see this game, see how Michigan responds. How quick will the Boo Birds be if they go a 3-and-out to start the game, right? Big noon kickoff, Camp Randall, Wisconsin. Bucky's going to jump around. Alabama comes in to take on the Badgers, and I think Alabama wins this one easy. The spread is 16, a total of 50.5. I would probably take the over, and I would take Alabama giving up the 16 points. I think Jalen Milroe, Ryan Williams, Jam, Justice Haynes, all those, I think they're on a different level than what Wisconsin is. It's going to be a great environment. But I mean, Camp Randall at night, great. Camp Randall at 11 a.m., who the hell cares, right? And that's not meant to be disrespectful. I know it's a party place. Everybody loves going to Wisconsin, but you talk about school Camp Randall 11 a.m. just doesn't hit the same. Now they're going to be up drinking early, eating cheese and sausage and all that stuff. Good for you guys. I don't think you stand a chance against Alabama. The Fighting Illini take on the Chippewas, the Fighting Dan Marleys, right? The Thundering Dan Marleys. The Illini come in favored by 18.5, a total of 48.5. That's a lot of points. I'd probably take Central Michigan plus the 18.5. But again, Vegas wasn't built on losers, right? The Civil War takes place now. Usually it's end of the year game, but because of Oregon and Washington in the Big Ten, things have changed. They got the Apple Cup as well, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Oregon takes on Oregon State at Corvallis. Oregon favored by 16.5, a total of 49.5. I would take the over. And I'd probably take Oregon State plus the 16.5. Just for that. It's like I said, it's in Corvallis. It's at 2:30 p.m. Again, it's not going to be a Corvallis night game. Notre Dame comes strolling into Ross-Ade Stadium in West Lafayette, Indiana, to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. Notre Dame favored by 9.5, a total of 47.5. I'd probably take the under in that game, and I'd probably take Purdue plus the 9.5 in that. I just don't think Notre Dame's that great of a team. But Purdue, they lose their best receiver. Deion Burks transfers to Oklahoma. How good is that team really going to be? I don't think we've seen a big enough sample size. Riley Leonard not having the same kind of magic he had with Duke last year. It's a big game, but if Notre Dame goes in there and lose, a lot of people are going to be, chomping at the bit for Freeman. Michigan State's got an easy one. They take on Prairie View A&M. I think Childs is going to have another big day. He needs to quit throwing interceptions, right? Needs to quit throwing interceptions. And, I mean, he's got 5 on the year so far. Now, he's made some good plays, but he's made some bad plays as well. Minnesota and Nevada, the Wolfpack come in. A decent team. Minnesota favored by 17.5, total of 44.5. I'll take the over in that game all day. I think Minnesota really takes it to Nevada. Just not a great team. Iowa, not a gimme for Iowa. They take on Troy, right? Troy is 0-2, but they're not a bad team. A total of 39.5. I'd probably take the under in that just because I don't think they're going to score. Actually, no, they're going to score in this one. Both teams will score. Iowa probably wins. I don't know if they win by 23. I'd probably take Troy plus the 23. Cade McNamara struggling mightily. We'll see. I'd probably take Troy plus the 23 in that one. Nebraska takes on Northern Iowa. It's going to be just kind of a tune-up game. We'll see if they don't have the letdown after everything they did. And again, a master class for Nebraska of having recruits in town, presenting everything. Just an awesome, awesome time in Lincoln, Nebraska, right? UCLA and Indiana, great basketball matchup. We'll see how it is in football as at 6:30 on NBC and Peacock at the Rose Bowl. Indiana, wonder when the last time they actually were in the Rose Bowl. I'd have to look that up. Indiana takes on UCLA. Indiana favored by 3 on the road, total 45.5. I'll take the over in that game. And I'd probably take Indiana minus the 3. I'm not sold on UCLA. Northwestern, Eastern Illinois. God, you hope Northwestern can win that game against an FCS opponent. An old ACC matchup as the Maryland Terrapins head to Charlottesville to take on Virginia. Maryland favored by 2.5, a total of 57.5. Give me the over in that, and I would take Virginia plus the 2.5. It's at home. It's that close. Give me the points, especially a home dog. Give me that. Northwestern should win that game really, really easily. But, the Big Ten, it's going to be interesting this year when you look at some of the teams towards the top, and can they really continue to produce like they have? Keep an eye on that. Coming up, it's time. Big Ten Power Rankings. That's right. Every week I give my power rankings to where I sit here and I talk about where I rank the teams and kind of the reason why I rank them where I rank them, all right? And we're going to start towards the bottom, number 18. Again, it's weird when you're seeing 18 teams in a conference. The SEC has 16, just a lot of teams. That's why I would be interested to see 4 teams go to 4 conferences, go to 16 teams, and, maybe even go with relegation, like in soccer. I know it'll never happen, but it'd be fun. Starting in the power rankings in the Big Ten, you see I got Dylan Raiola and Miller Moss right there. That's going to be a big-time matchup. Northwestern, I got them at number 18. They're 1-1, just not a good football team. UCLA, you got UCLA and Indiana right there, 16-17. They meet up this week. Indiana trying to go 3-0. If they go 3-0, I might have to bump them up. Number 15, Minnesota. Number 14, Michigan State. Now, Michigan State's 2-0. Quarterback play a little sloppy at times with the turnovers. But are they better than Michigan this year? They've done more offensively than the Wolverines, right? They've done a lot more than the Wolverines. But I got Michigan still at 13. They're defending national champions. Until they are knocked out of playoff contention, and they're still not out of playoff contention, they are the defending national champions. But as far as what I saw, that's not a good football team. That's not a good football team. I got them at 13th in the Big Ten. I know some Michigan fans are probably pissed off at that. Play better football, guys. Purdue at number 12. They're 1-0. The Badgers, number 11 in my Big Ten power rankings. I still think Wisconsin just gets mollywopped by Alabama this weekend. Maryland at number 10. Crab cakes and football. That's all they do. We'll see how they do against Virginia. Washington, the Huskies at 2-0. Rutgers, again, keep an eye on Rutgers. Rutgers is kind of slowly moving up. If Iowa struggles again against Troy, you move Rutgers up, right? The Illini, we don't know if they're for real or not, but if Rutgers keeps winning, they move up. Nebraska, just for the sake of college football being good, I hope Nebraska's back. I hope it wasn't a one-time thing for the Huskers, right? Dylan Raiola looks like he's the guy that's going to come in and help save the program, turn it around. Big E from the WWE was there. Will kind of like it was a good scene. I've been to Lincoln. I've seen Oklahoma, Nebraska. That was my youth growing up. Keith Jackson, Thanksgiving weekend, Dr. Tom and Barry Switzer going at it. So I hope Nebraska gets back to being a relevant football team. I really do. Classy fans. It's one of those hate but respect rivalries. I wish we still played them every year. Just because the iconic of the OU and the Nebraska helmet, I love that a lot. But Nebraska up there number 5. Now, Nebraska's a team that can also jump up because I'm not sold on Penn State. Penn State starts to waver more like they did against Bowling Green. Probably going to get moved down. The Oregon Ducks at number 3. It's one of those, man, I just, what are people complaining about? I mean, I know so it's not the explosive offense like they used to have. But, I mean, Dylan Gabriel's putting up decent numbers. But I also will tell Oregon fans this. One of the things that Oklahoma fans complained about with Dylan Gabriel was his downfield passing, right? I had to get a sip of my liquid death. Kill my thirst, right? Ohio State sitting there at number 2. Buckeyes. I still don't know. I don't believe in the quarterback. I don't believe in Will Howard. That's why I got USC number 1. I got the Trojans number 1. Now, I know that's going to make my boss man happy, but that's not why I did it. He's a big USC fan. I just think right now they've got the best victories. The way they've looked. They focused on what they needed help with, right? They weren't playing defense last year. They're playing defense now. And you got another quarterback. You lose Caleb Williams, a generational talent, and Miller Moss looks like he's just stepping in. Zachariah Branch is one of the most dangerous people in all of college football anytime he touches the ball. So just keep an eye out for USC. Still a lot of way to go. A lot of people in Oklahoma don't like that, calling old Mule Shoe if he's going to be able to be victorious this year or not. I don't know. But right now I got them as my number 1. We're going to wrap things up here on the Big Ten Bites. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. If you like what you're hearing, please let me know. Comment on any of the social medias. Comment on the podcast. Rate me. Please, if you're listening to Apple, go in there and rate the podcast. Leave a comment. It will really help. Share with people. If you got people that like football, and even you're like, hey, check this dumbass out. Let's see what he says. Whether they agree or not. I just love talking ball. and maybe we can strike up some dialogue. And when I do my live shows, you guys can hop in the chats, and we're going to talk about football. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about bourbon. I got some Penelope down in the cupboard that I'm probably going to break into. I love it. Love it. But everybody, for those that have reached out, for those that support, for those that take the time to listen and to kind of be a part of this, of me chasing my dream again, I thank you. All right. Trying to put forth a lot of really good content for you, and I hope you like what's going on. A lot more to come. Like I said, I'm with the FWAA. I'm one of their Super 16 voters. Some guys on there that are former Hall of Fame. They're not former, but Hall of Fame coaches in college football, Hall of Fame players from college football. And I get a vote on that every week. And we're tied in with the Maxwell Football Club. So stay tuned. There might be some people, who were former Maxwell Award winners that'll be coming on the show to talk some ball. And I know you all would like that. So would I. I think it'd be pretty cool. But don't forget, Friday nights, I have my Football Friday night where I'll preview the weekend to come. I'll have my Give 'em a 6 or 6 picks. Last week I was 4-2. We'll see how I do this week against the spread or the overs. But again, I just want to say thank you for those of you that listened, for those of you that took the time. I hope you like these quick little 30-minute hitters. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Say good night. Again, thank you. And remember, guys, to always positively move forward.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bites with your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bites.